This is episode 1. Welcome to Wellness in Every Season, the podcast where we explore the rich tapestry of wellness in all its forms. I'm your host, Autumn Carter, a certified life coach turned wellness coach, as well as a certified parenting coach, dedicated to empowering others to rediscover their identity in their current season of life. My goal is to help you thrive both as an individual and as a parent. Today, I have with me Megan Edge, and I'm really excited for this podcast. And looking at the outline over here, so don't mind me if you are watching the video, she offers mind and body and soul healing through intuitive counseling, energetic and physical body work, plant medicines, essential oils, nutrition, and nature. She's my person. Megan became a master healer because she wanted to make a difference in people's healing journeys and create permanent and deep healing for her clients and students. She has students too. We're going to hear all about this. Megan is also the author of The Heart's Journey, Healing Hearts, Oracle Cards, and Guidebook box set. And at the end of this, she is going to give us a discount code that goes along with this. Yay. And she'll explain what Oracle cards are because maybe not all of our listeners know about this and nobody else has spoken about this before.
Wonderful.
Tell us a little bit about your journey to get us started, introduce us to yourself, and thank you so much for being on, by the way.
Thank you for having me on. I'm really honored to be here and I'm really excited for our conversation.
Me too.
I had somebody recently ask me, was this something that I came to in the middle of my life, or was it something that I was born into? And my answer to that question was actually I was born into this. Always looked after people, things, animals. I was the kid at the end of the rainstorm who was picking the worms up off the sidewalk and putting them back into the soaked lawn, not understanding that they were trying to get away from the soaked lawn. Home kittens or birds with broken wings, that sort of thing. Healing and wanting to help others is something that I've always had. And then over the course of my life, there have been events that have occurred that have kept me on the path or propelled me back to the path of becoming or being a healer, capital H. This is the work that I do, holding space for other people's healing journeys in all different ways that I can.
Sounds like it's a passion and a calling. That's amazing.
It absolutely is. And I remember one of your questions was, what are you passionate about? And I thought, how long have you got?
I don't think there was a character limit, but we're not writing a novel.
Fundamentally, it's what I just said. It's being able to be of service to people in need and those people who need the kind of work that I do. Not everybody does, but those that do, I love that I can be here. I can be a resource. I can be a sounding board. I can be a shoulder to cry on. I can be a light in the dark. I can be all those things. And I can witness my clients, family, friends, when they choose to work with me, I can witness them coming through their transformation and into that place of deep and permanent healing.
I just got the butterfly image right there. That's amazing. It's been amazing to watch other people.
Absolutely, which is where my passion for teaching comes in. And that is another one of my passions, which is why right from the get-go, as soon as I put my shingle out as a healer and intuitive counselor, a psychic healer, I was also teaching. I love empowering or helping other people be empowered by their own abilities to be their true self, be their authentic self. And there's lots of different ways that we can get there. Understanding where you come from, understanding the influences in your life, and then recognizing that you have things you can learn how to do that can help along that journey. And then to be able to teach other healers how they can step into being a healer and run a successful healing business is one of the reasons that I created my healers programs over the years, and why I do workshops or get up in front of groups of people and talk and demonstrate what's possible for people.
I just did okay. It's not showing there's the red button for recording.
Oh,
okay. It's there. You have a wide variety of things that you use for healing other people. And it goes along really well with this book that I'm reading. This is my daily reading that's right under my computer. But it's called Chakra Healing. And in this book, she is talking about different ways of healing your chakras. It sounds like your book would be even thicker. It's an intro book. But it sounds like a lot of the things that you also do in your practice She talks about using crystals, oils, yoga, nutrition. But it's amazing. How do you package this and how do you advertise this to other people in a way that they can understand?
Oh, gosh.
The chakras. So what words do you use? Words to describe what you do.
Describe what I do. It's a little bit of everything. I have what I call my healer's toolkit. It's a fictitious toolkit, obviously, but what's in it are all the different healing modalities that I've learned over the years, that I've either learned from other masters, other healers, or I've taught myself through reading, studying, practicing. Chakras and auras are one of the things that I work with. In fact, I've created a line of chakra crystal sprays, one spray for each of the chakras. And in my chakra system, there's 13 chakras. I talk about the ninth chakra, because in North America, we've distilled the chakra system down to 7 chakras. But basically what a chakra is an energy center in your body, and we have hundreds of them. And if you study the old Sanskrit body maps of the chakra system, our nervous system, our central nervous system and our whole nervous system is mapped out in a very similar way to the chakras. These are areas in our body where nerves bundle together and create an energy center. I have in the past taught a 13-week chakra healing journey. And each week, the participants are immersed in the color of that chakra. All the foods that they eat are that color. Everything they wear is that color. They work with crystals that are that color. It's like a total immersion. And then they're also working with what that chakra represents in terms of the human experience. When people ask me, what do you do? And I say, I'm a healer. And they go, oh, that's interesting. What kind of healing? And then I start talking about it. Often they just glaze. Oh, it's a lot. But the reason it's so much is because we're all unique. We have similar experiences, but we experience them differently. There is no one size fits all in holistic medicine or alternative medicine. And we take the time to find out what is really underneath the reason a person might come to see us as healers in order to do that deep and permanent healing. Sometimes when people ask me what I do, I just say I'm a counselor, if that seems more appropriate.
But there's different ways. So if we're starting to get people who aren't into what some people call the woo or the spiritual side of things, those who aren't already familiar with this modality, how do we explain it to those who are more, I believe in science or I believe in religion? How do we bridge this gap? Because in my opinion, I believe that there is space for all of this and it's all needed. So share your side of things and your opinion and correct me along the way.
Absolutely. It's important to be able to read the room, first of all. Who are you talking to? Equally spiritual and into the wondrous magic that is this human existence. And I'm also a very grounded person, and I love research and discoveries, and I love science. I have a science background as well as a women's studies background, a psychology background. And like you say, we want to be able to bridge all of that together. We want to bring in functional medicine, mainstream medicine, emergency medicine, and holistic medicine. We want to understand that medicine is all around us. So if, for example, somebody is coming from that very ground scientific background and they've convinced themselves that they don't believe in the word, we all do a little bit, but never mind, I'll meet them where they're at. If I'm to describe the chakra system, I will say to them, if you know what the nerve system looks like in the body, the physical nerve system, you know what the lymphatic system looks like in the body, you can understand that a chakra is simply a way of understanding where emotion resides in the body and also where the physical connection is between nerves in our nervous system. Right. So you think of the heart chakra, and the heart chakra is a really good one to use to describe this to people, or the solar plexus, because solar plexus is a word that we understand that's understood as a physical part of the human body. It's also the name of an energy center that resides there in the chakra system. Right. And same with the heart. So the language overlaps. And I can say to somebody, when your heart flutters or when you get those butterflies in your tummy, what is that? Is that a physical sensation coming from an emotional state? That's how we understand it. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about the chakras. We're talking about a physical sensation that comes into the body that has an emotional or an energetic origin. And everybody's had butterflies. Everybody's had a nervous flutter in their heart. Most people have had a broken heart. And science can't explain to us why our heart hurts when someone we love has died or has left us or whatever it is that we're passionate about that's no longer there. There is no scientific explanation except for maybe something that's happening in the brain, that there's a connection between the brain and the heart. Even when you start talking like that, you're starting to get a little esoteric for most people. But that's how I do it. I bring in familiar language to then introduce what might be a new concept to somebody around something like the chakra system.
Perfect. And I do acupuncture and I partake in acupuncture. It's done to me. And you're right, looking at their map that they have on the wall, I don't know what you call it, and seeing those energy systems. Yes. And then my degree is in applied health. So I have seen the nervous system. I've seen the lymphatic system, not on a real person. No, thank you. I've seen them mapped out in textbooks and everything. And yeah, they definitely correlate. And I love how you were explaining exactly how you meet them where they're at, you use their language that they can understand, because we are seeing more and more how science does correlate with more of the spiritual and the woohoo. And if you really are taking this moment to pause and you allow yourself to, some can call it disassociating a little bit, but just leave your body a little bit, you will really, and feel your spirit. It is so much bigger than your body. And that might be a little too woohoo for some of my audience, but just bear with us because there will be something for you here. So how does financial wellness fit in with what you do?
Oh, I love that question. I'm excited to talk about financial wellness. I have a background as a finance person. I worked for the banks. I worked my way up from a teller all the way up to being a financial services advisor. And my motivation for working for the banks was that when I was a kid, I was terrible at math. My poor father, he would go completely just so frustrated. He'd have me sit on my fingers. He was a math whiz, and I'm trying to count on my fingers to get my math handwork.
That's why you're sitting on them. I'm like, why are you sitting on your fingers?
Joke's on him. I could still use my fingers even though I was sitting on the still pressing it. And,
I've done it.
And when I failed out of grade 11 math with a 3% average, and I went to summer school, I learned that I had mathematical dyslexia, and that what I had been doing all along was flipping 6s and 9s, 7s and 5s. So if the teacher corrected for the process, no problem. I would fly through it because I understood how it worked. It just couldn't get to the correct answer. And the reason that this is relevant is because as I was leaving high school, I made a promise to myself that there were 3 things that I was going to accomplish before I died. One was to understand math and finances and get over my fear and my math wounds, as I call them, so that I could feel confident with numbers and finances. The second was to learn how to fly, and the third was to learn how to sing. I've done 2 out of 3. I promised myself that I'd wait until my daughters were grown up and had their own lives before I took the risk of getting into an airplane and learning how to fly. But the other 2 I accomplished, and how I accomplished the math one was to apply to work at the banks so that I could learn while I was being paid, basically on the fly, to understand the importance of financial wisdom. But what I didn't yet know was how the whole financial system worked. I'd taken economics in high school, but that wasn't quite the same thing. And what I started to appreciate as I was moving up the ranks and starting to see financial clients is how many of my clients were carrying financial wounding. They had the same terror that I had of money or of numbers. They were convinced that they weren't good with money, or they had these sky-high debts and they didn't understand how they got there, or they knew how they got there, but they didn't know how to get out of it. And I started to become really passionate about helping my clients understand and learn about how money works, why it's important to know this, especially for women, because in our culture, we've been very disserviced around money and finances, unfortunately. So there's a lot of healing that needs to happen around that. And then the other piece of it is the way in which money can be used to control a person's movements, a person's ability to thrive in the world. I've seen firsthand, and I've experienced it firsthand, the way that money can be used to control a woman's place within a relationship, right? Money can be used against, can be used for too. And when I teach people about money in my manifesting course, part of what we do is look at what their relationship is with money as a concept, money as something tangible, what they grew up learning about money. Things like money doesn't grow on trees. How was it as children? Did they get an allowance? Did they have to earn that money? What was the financial situation like as they were growing up? I mean, we are woefully inadequate in our understanding of money and finances as a species, it seems. I've had clients, when we get to this piece and I ask them what their relationship with money is, no one's ever asked them that before, right? They never even considered that could be an aspect of their well-being. And in fact, when my former husband and I were in couples counseling before we separated, I was trying to bring to the table the conversation about money and control. And at that time, I was with my girls at home. I had a few things I was doing outside the home, but mostly my role in the job that I wanted to have was to be there to look after my girls 100%. And so his job was to then become the primary earner for the family. And that created all kinds of problems. And here's the thing, we're sitting here in front of this marriage counselor and I'm saying to her, this is an important piece of why we're sitting here in front of you right now. And she says to me in front of him, I don't see how it's relevant. Like, you're a marriage counselor and you don't see how this is relevant? Statistically, more couples separate and divorce over financial reasons than they do because of infidelity. This is a huge piece of a relationship with somebody, and you don't think it's real. Needless to say, I didn't go back to her. My then husband and I went our separate.
She did not do her job.
No. But it's a big piece because think about what is underneath a person's relationship with money and finances. What is it that having money allows us to do? It allows us to purchase goods and services. If we don't have access to money, or we have very little money, or we don't know how to manage our money, then we aren't going to be able to have good food, have good nourishment, have good experiences, be able to clothe ourselves and our families adequately for our environment. It's so fundamental in our relationship with it. It's because it comes down to what do we believe we deserve?
I was just thinking the whole time.
Worth, emotional
Okay.
value, or self-esteem, all of that.
That's perfect because, yes, I see how everything else lines up and I'm like, I'm curious what she will say about financial. Because people who say that they are more on the spiritual realm, I'm like, okay, how does spiritual go into each one for you?
Yeah, the spiritual and money, a huge area of consternation for people who consider themselves spiritual if they've been brought up in a tradition that says money is the root of all evil and spiritual people don't need things. And I
dive into that.
It is a big thing. And I've had students say to me, I don't want to charge for my services. I said, great, who's going to feed you? Let's break this down. You need to take care of yourself. If you're going to show up in the world as a really confident, powerful, potent healer, you need all of your needs met. And so if you're denying yourself something because you have a feeling that poverty is equal to spiritual advancement, then we need to do some work around that. Because I'm pretty sure your God, whoever that is, doesn't need you to be poor and suffering in order to be a strong and effective healer.
And then there's also if you have money, then you're able to donate to other things that matter to you and you can do more with it. So if you're thinking of it as this energy, instead of just money and blood and whatever emotions come up, there's this exchange of energy. So you should be paid what you're worth, and what you're worth also correlates with how much education have you put into this, whether it's like traditional education or not, and how much are you doing behind the scenes outside of just when the client is seeing you, that you're still doing for the client or the patient or whatever you call them.
And it's the biggest stumbling block for every healer that I've ever taught. We wait till the end of the course and then I say, okay, great. How much are you going to charge? They're like, no, what? I have to charge? You're paying me to learn from me. Why shouldn't somebody pay you to learn from you? Otherwise, why are you here? Are we having this conversation? Validate yourself. You're going to pay your lawyer $450 to help you solve something legal? You've just taken all this training and you've got your own life experiences, and you're going to put your shingle out and you're going to charge $60 an hour? I don't think so.
And if you are charging, then it allows the people who can afford you, where you can have a sliding scale for them, and it allows so many more opportunities.
Yeah.
Actually, let me talk a little bit about a couple things, and we'll have to keep it shorter. So you said in here that you had 17 surgeries and you had to navigate mainstream medical practices for yourself, your mother, daughters, and clients. So it sounds like you were going through mainstream medical and it wasn't fully connecting for you the way that you needed. So you went on this other path as well.
I was born into this kind. My family were very nature-oriented people. We foraged. I still forage today. That means going out into the woods and finding things like mushrooms or oysters on the beach or things like that. My parents were real foodies. All of our meals were uncooked meals. I learned how to cook and how to work with food. So I already knew that there were other ways to be healthy than the ways in which I was being shown in the mainstream. When I was experiencing a lot of chronic pain, a lot of what seemed to be very separate symptoms, at least in mainstream medicine, where we compartmentalize everything and we have an elbow specialist and an ear specialist and they don't talk to each other. We don't have that holistic approach. It wasn't until I received a diagnosis, was offered a diagnosis of fibromyalgia by a naturopath, that it all came together for me, right? The one of the roots is pharmaceutical, and I could have gone and gotten a bunch of anti-inflammatories and taken some arthritis medicine and maybe an antidepressant, because fibromyalgia has a whole bunch of components to it. What I chose to do instead was to look at what I was putting into my body and what I was putting into my mind, right? What was I believing that was allowing this set of circumstances, this set of symptoms to show up in my life? What was I ignoring? What wasn't I paying attention to? I've always been fascinated by psychology, the way in which we think. So when I received that diagnosis, I thought, what is the psychology of fibromyalgia? And when I received this diagnosis, this was 20 odd years ago, and it wasn't a word that most people knew. Doctors hadn't been taught about it yet. But thankfully, my naturopath did. And one of the things she said to me is, take gluten out of your diet right now. Make it the first thing that you do. Yes. Okay, I'll do that. And the results were so miraculous that I never looked back. I wish I'd known what I know now for her when it might have made a difference for her. And I don't say that to say that I take on her death and her illness and everything that she was experiencing, because she had a lot going on. Seeing what she went through and seeing how medicine failed her, it motivated me to want to understand, what else can we do? What else that isn't a pill, or that isn't just sending someone home and saying, this is it, this is your life now, here you go. Because pretty much as soon as somebody says to me about anything, there's only one way and it's this, or it's going to be this forever, I will immediately start looking for some other way. My daughter was born with life-threatening allergies. She came out covered in eczema, and the doctors didn't know what to make of it. We almost lost her when she was 2 because she had half a pistachio and she went into full anaphylactic shock. She's had allergy testing since she was 4 months old, when I noticed that she had hives all over her face when I tried to give her a little bit of strawberry ice cream. And I had to learn very quickly, in order to keep her safe, about food and food allergies and toxicity and what's happening to the body. So all of this learning, it's what has created my body of work. And then in terms of friends and clients, I will go into hospital and I will advocate for a client with their doctors to say, let's just really look at what you're suggesting is the situation here. Or I'll bring in my essential oils, I'll bring in my herbs, I'll bring in food and drink that I have made that I know is going to be really good for them, as opposed to the hospital food that they're getting. It's a little bit of subterfuge, but it works. That's the thing. It really works. So each of myself, my own journey, my mother, my daughter, my clients, friends, every way in which I am told there's only one solution, and I'm able to find the research, the science research, the medical research, or the spiritual research that suggests that there is maybe another way, I want to bring that into their experiences for their healing.
How many of you have listened to her talking about how she'll bring in stuff to the hospital to eat, have wanted to leave the hospital early just because the food is so gross? Well, let's sign up for her services just for that, right? So tell us, go ahead.
Even if I can't see you in person, we can make a meal plan.
Awesome. That's a big deal. That is one of the nice things about COVID is that doing stuff like this, being virtual like this is so mainstream now and so much easier, more accessible. We are almost out of time, but I really want you to share what is an Oracle deck? Why is yours special? And how can we get it?
First of all, because I will probably forget at the very end, I'm going to tell you right now where you can get it. You can order it from my website, meganedge.ca. There's a whole page that talks about the Heart's Journey, Healing Hearts Oracle cards and guidebook, and gives you a breakdown as what's in it. And I share a little bit of the story of the why and the how it came to be. When you get your box set, and I have it right here to show for those who are seeing this on video, it comes in a nice hard box. And in the box, you get a whole bunch of moving pieces. You get the guidebook, in which I share my personal story about why these hearts in nature, these images of hearts in nature were so important as I was coming out of my 23-year marriage with the then husband, with 2 little kids in tow. And that's part of what makes this deck unique in the world of Oracle cards. Most decks of Oracle cards or tarot cards, the author doesn't share their motivation for creating this or for writing this. There isn't a lot of backstory. And I feel if you're going to be working with a tool like an Oracle card, it's a piece of paper and it usually has a picture or an image on it. And sometimes it has writing on the back, which is a spiritual message or a message of empowerment or some part of the story. That's what an Oracle card is on the surface. Beneath the surface, an Oracle card is a meditation tool or a tool of intention that allows you to take a pause in your day, in your life, get centered, take a deep breath, and ask a question, something that is pressing on your mind, something that you aren't sure of. You're not sure what direction to go in. You're looking for guidance. You're asking your higher self a question in a focused state. And when you're in that focused state, it is easier for you to hear your own wisdom. It's easier for you to hear the answer to whatever your query is. And the message that usually comes with an Oracle card that the author has written is relevant in that it's going to have you thinking about what it is that's being said. It's going to land 99% of the time. And I've been working with Oracle and tarot cards for 30 odd years. You will not. It's mind-blowing, the connections and the seeming coincidences of conversation that I'm having with a client. And then we pull a card and it's exactly what we just said. And I've seen it enough times, it's not coincident.
And are you thinking about it and it's not the first card on top?
So when you're working with Oracle cards, there's lots of different ways to work with them. But the way that I teach to work with Oracle cards is basically you get your deck and you just start shuffling. You're shuffling and you're talking. And there's going to be something that comes out. I don't look at them. It just pops out. It either slides into my hand, it falls out of the deck. And that's the one that we start with. And for example, this one's called Spring Heart.
That's very pretty.
Little indentation. Yeah. And this is actually last year's old fall leaves in a spring, after a spring rain, in this indentation that looks like a heart. So then on the back of the card, I'll just read it quickly so people get a sense of it. So the message, and this is a message that I wrote when I saw this heart, this is what was relevant to me. Everywhere you look and everywhere you step, love is all around you. Allow yourself to move with the flow of that earthy love energy. Soak it up, grow into it, and blossom with it. And so let's say you pulled this card in the morning and you're heading out into your day. You can take that message with you. You can take that message with you into the day. And what's going to happen is that you're going to be more aware of love around you. You're going to see it in ways that you might not have seen it the day before because you weren't thinking about it. It's the power of words to help us form and frame and reframe our experiences. It's a tool to help us focus, to give us permission to step out of our busy minds for a moment, and then also to listen and really hear the words and bring those words into our day, whether it's just for the day or whether it's part of the whole healing journey. With this deck in the guidebook, after I share my story, I do teach people how to work with Oracle cards if they've never worked with them before. And then each card has its own page in the book with a deeper explanation, right? When I'm teaching Oracle card, I tell people, you look at the image, what comes to you, first of all. Then read the message, what shows up for you when you read the message. Then go to the guidebook, read a little bit further, because somewhere in those 3 steps, there's going to be an aha. There's going to be a moment where you go, yeah, okay, I see what that's about now. And then once you've done that, you've got your journal.
Say, it feels like journaling should be in here.
Here it is. And there's always wonderful pages with images and quotes from the book. And you can write your laundry list or your grocery list or your Oracle card pull or whatever your dreams and desires are. And to help you do that, you also get a pen and a bookmark.
Oh, perfect. You thought of all of it.
And then you get your cards. The 42 full color cards come in their own little box. And then the whole thing comes in this beautiful hard box so that it's easy to keep it all.
Did a lot of thinking and planning with
Was a labor. It really was.
Hearts, love. Makes sense.
And the tie into something that you mentioned right at the very beginning, just that I work with nature as a healing modality. These hearts, every one of them is different. Every one of them is unique. I found them. They were in a rock on the beach. There was a cloud in the sky that was shaped like a heart, and I just managed to capture it with my camera. In my experience of it, and what I choose to believe is that it was nature's way of communicating with me. Because as my marriage of 23 years was falling apart, I had said, just show me a sign. Universe, God, whomever, just show me a sign. And when I see it, I'll know that I'm following my heart above all other voices and I'm doing what I can in as much integrity as I can. And the universe is funny and it started showing me hearts. So there's this beautiful connection between our own hearts, our physical hearts. Nature makes this heart shape that we have such a connection to. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I don't know, profoundly moving in my estimation.
I like hearts too. I don't know if you can see my ring tattoo.
Oh, wow.
Heart and then the infinity symbol. My husband has the same one.
Oh,
It's so much easier. After having 4 kids, my fingers go up and down all day long in size. Plus, I like gardening, so it's easier.
That's right.
So tell us how we can get the discount from this. And then at the end of this, I'm adding in a few more things. It sounds like you do training for somebody to become a spiritual coach.
Yes.
Or whatever words you use for that. And then what other ways can we work with you? What else can you do for us? Code. And then how can you help us?
For the code, I will send you the link. I thought that I had done that before.
Yeah, perfect. I will make sure. Would you want me to have it listed in the show description?
Wherever you think is best for people to buy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. What it is, it's a 15% discount on the price of the whole package. We are currently, and this is end of November 2024, in Canada, we are having a countrywide postal strike.
This won't be going out until January.
Oh, yes, I know. Okay, then that might be a moot point. But what it is, it takes them to a sales page through Thrivecart, and they just put in their information, and the discount is automatic. It's already generated into the price. Perfect. You can find The Heart's Journey on Amazon. You can find it through Balboa Press and Hay House. Hay House was our publisher. You can find it through my website. If you Google The Heart's Journey, Healing Hearts Oracle Cards, you'll find it in a lot of different places. When you purchase it through me, I can sign it for you. I can personalize it for you. And also as an author in this world of AI and other things, when you purchase it through me, the money comes to me. It doesn't go to 3 or 4 other places of people who didn't do all the work. People can find me through LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn under Megan Edge. I'm on Facebook, Megan Edge Healing. I have a YouTube channel where I have so many teachable moments. I've got podcasts on there. I've got the radio show that I used to do. I've got lots of live workshops and classes that I've run, and as well as my own podcast that it's on hold right now. But there's lots of episodes there. There's a whole series on essential oils and different ways of working with essential oils. So there's tons of resources and a really fun way to get to know me, to decide if I'm a fit for you. And then we can do one-on-one. We can do healing journeys. I can do a reading for you with oracle cards just to help you. We can do that online or we can do that in person.
Be in your world in different varieties. That's amazing. It sounds like you have a lot of content on YouTube. So I will be going over there. You guys are welcome to join me. Subscribe. I will be doing that. This has been amazing. What a fun conversation. Hopefully I hit too many curveballs. It was perfect because there are so many people that struggle with the financial aspect. Finance is a big deal. It comes with a lot. I've had to unpack a lot, and I'm still honestly unpacking from my childhood. There's a lot there, and all of it does really, at the end of the day, for me, boil down to worth.
Absolutely.
People It can be a different variation of worth, but it's very similar. And I think at the end of the day, everything in general, not just financial, boils down to worth. Do you feel worthy enough to be healed? Do you feel worthy enough to get this dream job? Do you feel worthy enough to whatever you want to put in that blank? It's a very big deal. So I think it's amazing that you offer just this space for healing and to really look at the spiritual side of things, because we live in such a world where we are just so stuck in our heads. We're not realizing this huge part of us that is so spiritual, and that everything around us really does have a spiritual component. Whether you want to look through it with a religious lens or a solely spiritual without the religious part lens, there's so much healing that can be done in nature.
That's right. And we are a part of it. And this is, if I can leave us with one last thing for the audience, you are a part of something amazing. You are a part of something absolutely magical, mystical, incredible. You're part of this matrix that is the earth. When you're feeling disconnected, like you don't belong, where you don't have someone, or you're not doing the thing you want to be doing, you can change that. You're the only person who can. It's about changing your mind, but you don't have to do it by yourself. That's why people like myself or Autumn are great resources to help hold your hand and be your shoulder so that you're not doing it alone. I think if more people knew how connected we all are, a lot of the healing would actually be quite easy.
I totally agree.
Trauma would fall away without having to do a lot of hard work. But the hard work is also part of it too.
What kind of hard do you want? Yeah, and for me, if I have somebody who's there along with me on the journey, it's so much harder. Or if you have somebody there who's helping to guide you, hold you accountable, cheer you on, it's so much easier, whether it's a friend or a coach like us. Worth it. Thank you so much for being on. I am so excited for when this goes live. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. I am your host, Autumn Carter, a certified life coach dedicated to empowering individuals to rediscover their identity, find balance amidst chaos, strengthen relationships, and pursue their dreams. My goal is to help people thrive in every aspect of their lives. I hope today's discussion inspired you and offered valuable insights. You can work one-on-one with me or on demand through one of my programs by visiting wellnessinEverySeason.com. Stay engaged in our wellness community by signing up for my newsletter at com/free-resources. When you join, you'll have the option to receive a 5-day guide called Awaken and Unwind, 5 days to mastering your mornings and evenings, along with free guides, special offers on my programs, practical tips, personal stories, and much more. Sign up and share it with others. I put a lot into it, and that's where you will find me showing up the most. Don't miss these valuable resources designed to help you thrive in every area of wellness in every season of life. Join today and start your journey to wellness in every season. Your shares, subscriptions, or reviews for this podcast help us reach more people seeking empowerment. So please spread the word about our podcast. Thank you for being a part of our podcast community, and I look forward to continuing our conversation, sharing stories, and exploring wellness in all its aspects. One last thing to cover the show legally. I am a certified life coach and a certified parenting coach, giving general advice. I have a bachelor's in applied health, so I use that for the wellness aspect. So think of this more like a self-help book. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes. I am not a licensed therapist, so this podcast shouldn't be taken as a replacement for professional guidance from a doctor or therapist. Because I don't know you personally, I'm not offering you personal advice. This is very general. If you want personal one-on-one coaching, go to my website, wellnessinEverySeason.com. That's where you can get personalized coaching from me or you. I will see you in next week's episode. Bye. One last thing to cover this show legally. I am a certified life coach giving general advice. So think of this more like a self-help book. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so this podcast shouldn't be taken as a replacement for professional guidance from a doctor, therapist, or any other qualified expert. If you want personal one-on-one coaching from a certified coach, go to my website at wellnessinEverySeason.com. That's where you can get personalized coaching from me. See you in next week's episode.